Thank you, Frank. That was fascinating. All right, we are changing gears right now. I hope you're ready to laugh because we're about to be entertained by your average Irish, Italian, Catholic, Reform, Conservative, Unorthodox, Orthodox Jew. Sounds like a mouthful, I know, but I'd like to invite comedian Yisrael Campbell up to the stage to tell us all about his soul-searching spiritual journey through 4 decades and 2 continents. Yisrael, come on up.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for being here. Just to introduce myself, my name is Yisrael Campbell. Campbell is not a very Jewish name. It's not Jewish at all. It's Scottish. But Yisrael is a very Jewish name. So on average, I got a pretty Jewish name. This is my story, the little bit I'm going to tell you and the little bit I'm going to talk about. I know I'm from Philadelphia originally. I live here in Jerusalem with my children and my family, my ex-wife and my 4 children. In Jerusalem, I say only 4 children. Everywhere else in the world, I say 4 children, and they go, wow, that's a lot. But my story is this. I grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I'm the firstborn son of a manic-depressive Italian woman and a pathologically silent Irishman, which makes me wildly emotional in a very quiet way. I grew up Catholic. My parents went to Catholic school all the way through college. My mother then went into the convent. Thank God she left. Otherwise, only half of me would be standing here today. I'm a graduate and probably the only graduate of Archbishop John Carroll High School for Boys to ever perform at the Christian Media Summit, so I'm proud of that fact. I live here in Jerusalem, and I'm now a Jew. I converted to Judaism in America twice, Reform and Conservative, because the Jews are crazy. I converted again here in Israel, Orthodox, just really to cover the bases in case I ever wanted to get married here or die here. Well, that's not true. They'll let you die. They just won't bury you, you know. So when I converted Reform, I then married a Muslim, an Egyptian. I converted in so I could marry out because I wanted to be Jewish. No, my father-in-law, my first father-in-law, I've been married twice, he said to me, if you convert to Islam, I'll come to the wedding in the synagogue. I said, if I belong to all 3 major religions in 1 calendar year, people are going to doubt my sincerity. So I didn't convert to Islam, but I feel a real connection with you guys because I grew up Catholic. And I grew up in the States, and I didn't know Jewish people. And what happened to me is at 16 years old, I stopped using alcohol and drugs. I found out I was an alcoholic. I stopped using alcohol and drugs, and I started a spiritual search, which ended me up here in Israel, ended me up a Jew. So I hope you enjoy the show, because you won't see me much longer because I'm going to hell. I hope not. And I hope if I do, you'll fight for me. No. I think really fundamentally the most important thing is that we follow our spiritual search, that we each search for that which makes sense to us, and that we seek that out. And that's why I think it's so important for you guys to be here in the land of Israel, the homeland of the Jewish people, explaining, as Frank said, as Nitzan Chen said, as everyone knows here, the reality here is so much different than the reality, what it looks like from out there. So I really appreciate that you come here, that you be here, whether you're visiting or whether you live here, and that you explain the situation to the people that you come from in the language that you speak, how and what is actually going on here. And so thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the summit. I just want to tell you a few more things. My journey, I read Leon Uris's Exodus. I imagine myself digging avocados out of the earth here in Israel. Now, how should I know they grow in trees? I'm from Philadelphia. Where I come from, they grow in aisle 6 next to the tomatoes. And I imagine as I'm digging the avocados, she crosses the hill on her steed and she drives towards me with long, flowing, curly brown hair, or long, flowing, curly black hair, or short blonde hair. It doesn't really matter. And she pulls up and she says, "There's trouble on the ridge." Now, that's not the way she talked, but it's the only accent I know. She pulls me up on the horse, and we ride off into the sunset. That was my introduction to what I thought was going to happen when I moved here to Israel. Obviously, that's not what happened. But I live here now. When my wife was, the mother of my children was in the hospital, she gave birth to twins. I always say we gave birth, but I didn't really do so much at the birth. And when our twins were born, our daughter came home 17 days old wearing this. It's from The Gap. It says newborn, preemie, 0 to 5 pounds. Can I just say a 0-pound baby does not need clothes? Right? But I imagine only The Gap would be like, you know what? We can clothe the 0-pound baby. Right? I mean, a 0-pound baby has neither arms nor legs. It certainly doesn't need a pocket. What is a preemie going to put in a pocket? They sent this baby home at 17 days old, and all they told us was that she had to poop 4 to 5 times a day, which makes sense. That's her head, that's her bottom. I mean, how long could it take, right? The bottle's longer than she is. She poops the first day 4 times. Okay, that's within the normal range. I'm not going to be one of those parents that insists on the 5th poop. That was a Thursday. Friday, again, only 4 times. Saturday, she doesn't poop at all. And we can't call anyone because it's Shabbat. I don't know if you know this, but in July, in Jerusalem, when you have a baby that's not pooping, Shabbat goes out at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Finally, Shabbat goes out. We call the pediatrician. We say, she's not pooping. Doctor says the baby poops 4 to 5 times a day or once a week. How can that be? How can it be that the normal range, totally normal, nothing is wrong, is 28 to 35 times a week or once? Now, the day she was born, I held this little girl in my arms, and I'd never held my own baby. I didn't know this. Those of you that are parents know. I held her, and I looked at her, and I said, "Little baby, all I want for you is to be happy. That's it. Just happy. And married. But that's it. Happy and married. And educated. But that is it. Happy, married, and educated. And live here. But visit there." 17 days later, I'm holding the same baby thinking, just poop. Now, 18 years later, that little girl is about to go in the Israeli Defense Forces. She's about to serve this country for the next 3 years and defend its borders. It's my hope and my prayer that we can live in peace. Not just for us, but for everyone. Because as everyone has said before, this is the region. This is the crucible. This is the place. And it's so misunderstood. So thank you for the work you did, and enjoy the summit, and enjoy the rest of the evening.